Bum, 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum, 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 bum. One of the most frustrating things about living in the United States is that everybody lacks common sense, right? Every little transgression has to be dealt with aggressively instead of actually using common sense. So my favorite example was what happened when I got sick during the heat wave last summer. I know I've talked like a broken record about it. I wish I could say that was an isolated incident. If that was a once in a lifetime, I'd let it go. But that was the most egregious example. Let me talk about another example, and this one I may run into on my way home again. Last winter, I was here in Taiwan as well. This is a hostel that I'm staying at in Taipei, where I'm recording this. Last winter, I was here. My grandmother had just passed away. And so when I flew back to the United States, I arrived in San Francisco. I mistakenly pushed my luggage cart to the TSA line. You're not supposed to do that. Big deal, right? Like a luggage cart's going to explode in the face of a TSA agent or bring down a plane, right? Now the TSA agent could have been nice about it, say, "Hey, how's your flight?" Instead he said, "Sir, you can't bring that there." Now they both get the same result, right? One of them doesn't create such a loud environment, right? One of them actually is friendly and brings good customer service, and they both get you to the same destination, right? I certainly wouldn't want to break a rule at the airport, right? It's not like I was trying to. It's not like I was actually trying to sneak something into the airport, right? He needs to say he should save that kind of attitude for when somebody actually tries to bring a bomb into the airport, right? If you bark like that at every little thing, next time maybe when somebody actually does bring a bomb to the airport, and you use the same volume because that's about as loud as you could get, right? Nobody's going to pay attention to it, right? So just thought I would point that out. Unfortunately, living in the U.S. has really hardened me up because I have to be surrounded by this stuff, and I have to constantly not only fend off these things, but in order to be heard in the United States, a lot of times I have to behave just like these people that I despise. Right? It's very difficult to try to be nice in an environment like that, right? Because think about it. The TSA agent, he's not just barking at me, he's barking at everybody else who brings the luggage cart into the TSA line by mistake. Everybody who accidentally brings a soda into the line, right? Everybody who, for whatever reason, right, forgets to take their shoes off, or at least until a couple days ago, forgot to take their shoes off, or whatever, right? And so people in that line, and more generally people in the United States, are normalized to that kind of noise before they're going to do anything, right? And so when you don't use that kind of aggression, you're not going to get hurt, right? At a workplace meeting, a lot of times I'm too soft on things, and it doesn't work to my benefit. And I really despise that. I really despise that. Now let's replay that situation. I make it to the TSA line. He could have started by saying, "How was your flight? Just come home from Taiwan. Oh, sorry to hear your grandmother passed away. Did you know we like to keep the lines short? So would you mind leaving your cart outside of the line?" He could have gotten the same result as that with that, right? But for some reason, we live in an environment where everything has to be loud. Now, I was just reading. I was curious what the obesity rate here in Taiwan was. It was one of the lowest amongst the developed world. I think even lower than Japan nowadays. And I was just thinking, it's the same kind of attitude, right? Back home in the U.S., everything has to be intense, right? Lots of fat, lots of sugar, lots of salt, lots of MSG. If it's not, we can't pay attention to those subtle details anymore, right? It's just insane, right? It's very difficult for me to network with people in the United States because everything has to be so intense. The noises at a social event have to be up to 11. The taste has to be up to 11. The amount of alcohol people have to consume, the amount of intoxicants people have to consume at a social event has to be dialed up to 11, right? We don't have that kind of attitude here in Taiwan. And I don't know, which side do you prefer? You just tell me, right? But anyway, I feel really hardened up living in the United States. Now, I spent, you guys remember when I first started my bismuth art career, I really wanted to put every penny toward it. So a lot of times I lived out of my car. Now, is it a big deal when I live out of my car? Is it a big deal if somebody needs to clean the parking spot at 3 a.m. and ask me to move my car? Not at all. But some of these people are very power hungry when first of all, they pound on my door like the car's about to explode. And they're not very nice about it. And it's created an environment where I feel very hardened up too. Right? When something goes wrong, I feel like I have to scream as well. And I really despise that. Even just 3 weeks here in Taiwan has really softened me a lot, I would say. I find that I can handle things like for example, this past week I lost my passport. And this is something that would stress me out a lot. Except here in Taiwan, I find I'm more at peace because I'm not constantly dealing with somebody barking at me for accidentally taking a shopping cart where I shouldn't, at loitering somewhere, even the guy at the grocery store when I was loitering in there, had he did anything other than just start out by asking me to leave, I guarantee it would have been a quicker solution, right? He could have talked to me about what was going on. Oh my God, can you believe how hot the weather is? Did you see the sports event last night? What team defeated what team? Had he just said anything like that, it would have looked a lot better than somebody loitering in the store, right? He could have made it look like he was talking to a friend. It would have looked a lot better, and B, it probably would have cheered me up to the point that I could get out of there a lot faster than I ended up getting out of there, right? But we don't even have good common sense anymore. Now, I was talking to a friend about the loitering situation, and he said that a lot of stores literally cannot do it that way because if they do it that way, and the next time they run into somebody that they actually need to kick out of the store, it becomes a prejudice issue, right? The person they kick out will claim that they were kicked out because of their skin color, because of their religion, or because of sex, or whatever. And here in Taiwan, we don't have nearly as strong of anti-discrimination laws, which kind of allow people to use common sense, right? I don't know what to say about that. I don't like discrimination either, but I think we should also use good common sense, right? But those two kind of are along a spectrum, right? So I'll let my viewers think about that and leave a comment. This is the Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum.